Hello everyone, I am back with another patch notes review video. I know I haven't been up to date on my gameplay videos, but that should change in the next couple of weeks here. I should get back on track with making more videos about the actual game, but for now, this will have to do. So it starts with Greeting Warriors, it's the Paragon, the Overprime, details about the patch, blah blah blah. Okay, so first things first, it releases on the 30th, and we get Greystone added, who I am really excited for because I played him quite a bit in the original Paragon. Very simple character, sturdy warrior. He'll be really fun to play with the new items that are in the Overprime versus, the original Paragon. So yeah, I can't wait to try him out. It'll be really fun. The next thing is reward distribution. 560 Kima has been sent to existing accounts that could not participate in the Exploration Pass and Exploration Supply. So existing accounts are defined as all warriors who joined before the April 26th update. So if you had an account before April 26th, they're giving you $50 worth of free Kima. So that'll be really nice. It's mainly because we weren't able to use the Battle Pass or the daily login rewards. But I think that more than makes up for it. So that'll be really neat. You just have to be sure to log in between 30th and just log in before the end of the year. Pretty much if you make it in before 2024, you'll get your free stuff. Assuming you had an account before April 26th. That's quite a while to claim it. Brand new skin for Greystone, and this was not in the original Paragon. It's like some crazy, what do they call it? Legend of Seymour? That's pretty neat. Like a awesome paladin sentinel looking guy. And honestly, I might be using that free Kima that's coming our way to purchase this one. That's like a really dope skin. It's like metal. It's awesome. Another great skin for Wraith, Lord of the Meadow. It's super cool bug guy. That's honestly awesome. That's I don't know if it tells you the rarity. I think heroic is the rarity, so it's probably going to cost a lot, but honestly, might just be worth it. Especially if you don't have to pay for it, because you have free stuff. Might be purchasing that one. I'm not exactly a Wraith player, but if I were a Wraith player, I'd be really happy with that skin. A Grux skin that's only rare, and it turns him into a sweet, Chinese dragon. That's honestly awesome. I think I like that better than his other skin that he has, where he's just, big and golem-like. I think this one's really cool. And I do play quite a bit of Grux, and since it's only a rare, might be interesting to buy. Okay, on to the hero balance changes. Looks like they changed Bellica. So her Q skill coefficient has been buffed. That's pretty cool, the knock-up. A Q skill cooldown has been reduced, so that's another buff. Her Commander's Eye, which is, I believe, that drone that drains mana and does damage every time you use an ability, has been nerfed by quite a bit in the later parts of the game. It goes from 210 at max to 120. That's quite a blow. Cooldown, 2 seconds off the cooldown. That's really going to help, I guess. I don't know why they do the 2-second adjustments, especially when the cooldown is 35 seconds. I don't think it means anything at all, but I guess we'll take it. The coefficient on it was also nerfed by 10%. Her bomb cooldown is up by a second, which I think might have been needed. She could kind of just spam that thing, and it was really good. The base shot of her ult is nerfed, or buffed by 50. That's pretty good. Her ult's damage per the target's consumed mana used to be, so for every mana you were missing, it would do 0.6 damage. Now it's doing 0.4 at level 1, 0.5, and 0.6, so that's quite a big nerf. Because for every mana you were missing at max level, it used to do 1 more damage, and now it's only doing 0.6. Paralyzing shots, maximum damage proportional to the target's consumed mana. So they're capping the damage that you can get added on from their missing mana, which is kind of crazy. I mean, an extra 400 damage is nothing to scoff at, but I don't think it needed to be capped, because the whole point of the ult was that you weren't supposed to challenge her if you had low mana. Like, you had to actually think about it. You'll still have to think about it, but it's not going to be nearly as punishing. It also now has a magical coefficient, which maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe that balances things out, because I think it's all still true damage. So I think we'll have to see how that all plays out with the ult, because 0.8 coefficient is pretty high on that. So we'll have to see if that's a nerf or a buff overall. I'm not too sure about that. Let's see what the dev said. Commander IE skill damage has been adjusted as it was too effective in combat. E skill's cooldown has also been adjusted to make it easier to combine with suppress and ground collapse. Paralyzing shot caused some players confusion because it wasn't identified as a magical skill, especially when it came to selecting items. The ultimate's mechanism has been adjusted to make it clear that it is a magic skill. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Again, we'll have to see how this plays out. They're trying to make it into a magic skill, and I just don't think it needed to be. That's the only hero change that they did. I was kind of hoping for a Countess nerf, but whatever. We'll just let her run rampant, I guess. Energy Overflow. It used to cost 2,000, and now it costs 500 less. And they say it's not purchased very often because it costs too much. Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't even think it's that good. Like, you do 50% more damage, but you also take 50% more damage, so you have to use it really carefully. But I guess you can kind of throw it into more meme builds now, since it costs less. Like, I was trying to do a one-shot Revenant build with this thing, but it never really panned out, because I could never get the full build going. Fruit of Greed. Looks like it was buffed by 5%, so the decreases the magical defense of nearby enemy heroes by 20%. It was hard for heroes to use magical defense reduction effects in the early to mid-game because the magical defense of most heroes is low. We adjusted the item's values to be more effective in early stages of the game. Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind this change. It wasn't a great item. Some Countess players build it, but I haven't seen them do it that often anymore. Iggy players build it, but again, I don't see them build it that often anymore, so maybe they'll still get it back in the mix. The Holy Relic of Ozni. Yeah. Looks like they just took 200 off the total price. And I believe that is the crit item that gives you magic defense, but it doesn't give you that much magic defense. It also has an active that removes crowd control from you, so that's fine, but nobody ever builds it. Item had a low purchase rate due to its high cost and less than desirable magic defense increase effect. The price has been adjusted to make this a solid choice in facing off enemy teams with many debuffs. It still won't see that much use. It's not a good item. Emergency Rescue Unit. Before, it granted a 15% shield of your max health for 3 seconds. Now it grants a 20% max health shield for 3 seconds when you drop below a certain threshold. And a lot of junglers built this. I built this on Grux. I build this on Fang Mao occasionally. So maybe you'll see more junglers with this item, because it's a pretty good effect. This item was difficult for jungle heroes to utilize because other items usually reduce the effectiveness of max health increases or do not have health-related stats. The max health scaling for this item has been increased to make it more enticing. Yeah, I agree with that. Margot Stone. 400 gold less. That's a pretty big chunk taken off of that. This was one of the more expensive items. It's still 3,100 gold, but 400 gold less is nothing to scoff at. This item is powerful, but it has a low purchase rate due to its high cost. The cost has been decreased so that the item can be used more often. The only person I've ever seen build this item regularly is Iggy and Scorch, so maybe we'll see more Iggy's come out to play. Which is vile. Knew I'd see this here. I pray it's a nerf. Before critical hit increases physical defense nullification by 20% and attack speed by 25%. And now it only increases attack speed by 15%. That's a good start, but you need to nerf this number too. It does 2 things for a pretty cheap price for what it does. It gives you crit, it gives you defense nullification, and it gives you more attack speed. It's a crazy item, and it needs to be upped in price and nerfed with the nullification now. But good start, I guess. Everybody's still going to rush this item. Bells of Purification. I build this on Wraith occasionally. I don't think I see anybody else build it. Sometimes Iggy's build it. A successful basic attack, or skill on an enemy hero increases magical power by 8 and decreases magical defense by 5%. Now it is increased by 10. And, it stacks 5 times, but so it's a small buff. Nothing crazy. I don't think people will start rushing to build this item, but, I mean, it's a fine item. Spirit's Armor. I didn't think anything was wrong with this, so I'm surprised to see it here. So before, it gave you 40 power, 30% movement speed, or 30% attack speed, and 4% movement speed. Now it gives you same power, same attack speed, gives you tenacity now on a ranger item. That's going to be crazy. I don't know if I like that change. The dev said this item was unpopular because it was lackluster compared to other items at a similar price point. So tenacity has been added to the item to make it a better option when the team has multiple crowd control effects. The whole point of playing a ranger is that you're supposed to be weak to multiple crowd control effects. Especially in this game where rangers can just run through an entire game. You need to stun them. And 20% tenacity doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really going to help in those critical moments. I don't think that they needed this, especially since I saw a lot of people build it. It's really popular on Drongo because you can stack the movement speed with his E effect. But I think you'll see this item built a lot. Tenacity is a really good thing that you don't want to mess around with, and I think that if they wanted to buff it, they needed to buff it somewhere else. Tenacity might not be the way to go with this. We'll have to see, but I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to bet that this is going to be, part of the core build for Rangers now. Dakima Cannon. 300 gold less, if I did my math right. Has been lowered in hopes that it'll see more play. I think this is the one that gives you physical penetration, and it slows people when you use skills. I use it on Kalari and Crunch occasionally. And, I mean, yeah, I'll take a lower price on this any day. It's just, it doesn't see a lot of play simply because the people who build it aren't very good right now. Specifically Kalari. And if you play Crunch, you generally don't build this just because, Spirit's Fang exists. Or you just go full tank and it doesn't matter. Broken Watch. This was a support item. It looks like it recovers more health and the delay is 1 second less. So, I mean, I don't see a lot of people building this item, but you might see it a little bit more simply because it might actually be good now. Due to this item's long activation time, the caster of their allies would often die with 2.5 seconds it takes to take effect. The activation time has been reduced to make this item more responsive and easier to use in combat. Yeah, I agree with that. 2.5 seconds was a little long. You had to either guess that damage was coming or just, watch your teammate die. So yeah, more healing, quicker use, should be a good item. Carbon Alloy Vest. I'm not sure what this builds into exactly. Probably magic defense or something. The price of this item has been lowered in hopes that it'll see more play. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what that item does. I know it's not a full item. It's a rare item. But that's interesting. Blue Heart. So before, to build into it, you would use Inquisitor's Prayer Beads, Valley Crystal, and Orb of Harmony for 375 gold. Now it's the Apprentice Hat, Valley Crystal, and Orb of Harmony for 575 gold. So this item tended to be lackluster as an early purchase due to its high costs and long completion time. We've adjusted the item's build path to give players more power from the components until the item could be completed. So the item itself isn't cheaper, but I think that the items that it builds into are better to use now. I'm not really a mid player. I'm pretty sure this is a magical power item. It's the one that gives you a shield, kind of like the immunity booster for physical power, but it's magic power instead. I'm willing to bet this won't change how often it's used. You'll see it occasionally, but nothing crazy. Marauder's Pocket Watch, or Marauder's Watch. Before, it decreased skill cooldowns by 0.3 seconds for all skills upon a basic attack on an enemy. And now it decreases cooldown by 0.3 seconds for all skills or basic attack. That'll be really good on a lot of people, but I'm thinking about Crunch right now. You already built it on Crunch just because you could already build it on Crunch just to stack the multiple cooldown reductions, but now that it's on skills, you can Q, punch, stun, and I'm willing to bet your stun is going to be right back up again. And so you get a third stun in a row. He's going to be a crowd control monster. And I think that I think you might just want to build this every game on Crunch now. I mean, yeah, that we'll have to see how the timing pairs with all of it, but I think this might make Crunch a just unstoppable hunk of machine. And he'll be really scary in the jungle now. So when purchased by jungle heroes, they can use their ultimates more often. Yeah. New items. I did not know they were going to add new items. Secret assassination technique. So it gives you 50 physical power, 15 penetration, and 5% movement speed. That's pretty good. The passive is, upon defeating an enemy hero, increase movement speed by 30% and enter stealth mode for 5 seconds. Stealth is removed upon hit or use of skill or basic attack. Decreases cooldowns by 10%. And it only costs 2,400 gold. Let's see what the devs say before I give my piece on it. An item intended for physical damage-oriented assassins, heroes, to employ more diverse strategies and solidify their class identity. Okay, I have a theory. And I hate to say it, but I think this might be a good ranger item. I don't know if the movement speed goes away when your stealth does. If it doesn't, you can just ignore the stealth and gain 30% movement speed anytime you kill something. And you get 15 pen and 50 physical power, all for 2,400 gold. It sounds like a really good item to me on paper. I might be wrong when it's put into practice, but this might actually be an insane item on any physical defense dealer, not just assassins. Especially since the assassins aren't very good right now. Yeah, we'll have to see. Star's Grace. Magical defense, health, and tenacity. It looks like it's a tank item. So, passive grants crowd control immunity for 1.5 seconds to the caster and nearby allies upon casting an ultimate. That's pretty good. Throw this on Rampage, mash ult, you heal a bunch, and you can't be crowd controlled. Heck, you could even try to be funny and throw it on Gideon and just try to ignore all the crowd control that comes your way when you cast your black hole or something. You might actually see this item played quite a bit. It is a little on the expensive side, but still, magic defense and tenacity might be good, might be worth buying. An item intended for heroes whose ultimates are frequently interrupted. This item will also be a good option when facing enemies with crowd control effects. Yeah. Okay, clock piece. This looks like it's like a common item or something. 15 power, 15 physical power. Decreases cooldowns by 0.2 seconds for all skills upon a successful basic attack on an enemy. It looks like it's going into Marauder's Watch. So, yeah. I mean, they're just changing the build path a little bit. You can still get a good effect from Marauder's Pocket Watch earlier. So I think that'll be good. I think building Pocket Watch on certain heroes might actually be meta now. Especially Crunch. I'm calling it. Crunch is going to be a monster. Worn Gloves. Also common or rare or something. Dealing damage with a basic attack within 6 seconds of using a skill deals bonus damage equal to 20% of magical power to the enemy. Costs 900 gold. And yep, I guessed it. It's a component item for the Gloves of Jealousy. We added a new item to make building Gloves of Jealousy easier in hopes that it'll see more play. See, I like that. You get a small mini effect. That way it doesn't feel bad to have to just build bad items to get to a good item. I like that. So you'll have a tiny power spike in lane if you want to rush Gloves of Jealousy. Specifically on like heroes like Wraith, I think we'll get good value out of it. But we'll have to see. In-game system adjustments. Ally-based recovery rate adjusted. Before it was 20% per second, and now it is 10% per second. The base health recovery values have been adjusted to change the time it takes to return to a lane after recalling. Okay, I see. So when you recall and you're sitting in your base healing up, you're going to heal slower, I believe, is how that works. You automatically activate sprint mode when you enter the ally base. It's just quality of life change. I kind of like that, just because, you know, you normally mash sprint just to get to the jump pad quicker, but, I mean, now you don't have to. It'll be weird to get used to, because I usually just press sprint as soon as I get into the game, or as soon as I recall, but, yeah. The jump pad. It deactivates a minute and 30 seconds after the game starts. That's interesting. However, the jump pad will be activated in the surrounding area when a Prime Spirit, Disciplined Underling, or Prime Guardian appears. Okay. So, I kind of like that. It makes it more worthwhile to get a kill in lane, because then you can actually start chipping away at the tower. You can stay and farm another wave if you want. It makes you have to want to... like, before, killing somebody in lane wasn't a big deal. They would just be back in 2 seconds, and then you get some gold for killing them, but it was like, who cares? Now they're gonna miss a lot. They're gonna miss experience, they're gonna miss gold, and their tower's gonna die. So I kind of like this change. You have to start playing smart in your lanes now. The jump pad activation conditions have been adjusted to change the time it takes for heroes to return to a lane and serve as a visual indicator when prime monsters respawn. And also the part where it comes up when the prime monsters spawn is also cool, because it lets your team group to go to those things quicker, which is where you want to team fight anyway, so that's cool. So, portal teleport locations have been changed. Before it was solo lane, and it went to duo lane, and it was Prime Spirit into Prime Guardian. Now, solo lane goes to Prime Spirit. So, solo's going to go to yellow buff, and duo lane is going to go to purple buff. And all allies can see the enemy user for 2 seconds after using a portal. Okay, so that makes it rough. Before, you could just take the portal and get a free gank because you were right in the lane that you want it to be. Now you have to walk through the bushes that presumably have wards. The supports will, Decker will throw stuns your way. They'll be able to see you coming, so you have to actually plan out your ganks, which is good, but it makes the game a little slower paced because you might not get the kill every time. And the fact that you can see the user makes it easier to... So before, you could just take portal and immediately recall and be safe. But now that people can see that you're recalling right there, they can either hurry up and run over to you if they're close, or if you're playing Murdoch, you can just get a free kill because you can see them. I think Murdoch will benefit most from the being able to see people part, but it's a good change. Portals were facilitating ganks and making large monsters too easy to dispatch, so the portal paths have been adjusted so they make less of an impact on the outcome of the match. Also, the fact that you can't, take portal... You can't take yellow buff and then immediately go start taking purple buff. You have to actually travel now, which I think is a good change. It also makes it so jungler should be the main user of the portals, because they're the ones who are going to be near these portals the most, because they're traveling between their camps. So they're going to be the ones that, say, the solo laner's pushed up, I can take this portal, run behind him, and get a free kill, because I know portal isn't warded. So that'll be cool. It makes the jungler a more important role in the game. Adjusted shadow bushes so heroes attacking from inside bush are visible. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. You're playing around the bush is a pretty important part, and if you're visible, that means people like Murdoch can still fire missiles at you. Revenant can fire his missiles at you. Why do you want to be in the bush now? I don't think there's a reason to go in the bush now. In order to lessen the advantage for the hero that first enters a shadow bush, the shadow bush mechanics have been adjusted to reveal heroes that attack from inside the bush. So now the sole purpose of being in a bush is to just hide there and try to cheese a kill. I don't like that. Playing inside of the bush was like a core part of winning in lane, especially like if you're playing rangers. So we'll have to see how that changes lane combat. Disciplined Underling has a summon animation. It just makes it more noticeable. I'll have to see how that looks before I give any opinion on it. Added a defense ignore effect to tower attacks. I'm not sure what that means. Added a defense ignore effect to tower attacks. You get 5, 10, 15, and 20 per stack. Interesting. Defense ignore effect. Oh. For each consecutive shot you take from a tower, you're going to take more damage because it's ignoring your defense. I get it now. Took me a second. Adjusted damage amplification when attacking tower. Before it was 100, 140, 180, 220. And now it's 100, 150, 200, and 250. Inhibitor health has been changed. Before it had 7,000 defense. 7,000 health, 60 defense. And when it respawned, it was 3,060 defense. Now it's only going to have 6,000 health. It's going to have 50 defense. But when it respawns, it's going to be a little stronger than it was before. So they're just changing the numbers around a little bit. Weaker at first, stronger later. Kind of. Stronger than it was before. It had become very easy for the leading team to destroy a tower because the structures were relatively weak. The towers have been strengthened to make destroying them more risky. I agree with that change. Like, the fact that an inhibitor respawned meant almost nothing because you could kill it in 2 seconds. And so now it's going to be a little harder to kill. Also, tower diving is also going to be a little harder because if I'm understanding the patch correctly here, tower damage got buffed. Okay. Prime Guardian and Disciplined Underling. Added a decreased damage taken effect to the Prime Guardian based on the number of attackers. Okay, so this is meant solely to slow down Chimera and Wukong. You can no longer just go and solo the things. The purple things. So if it's only you, it's going to take 50% less damage. Yeah, they don't want you soloing the purple camps anymore. I can tell. If there's only 2, which is normally what people take this with, it takes 25% less. So that's going to be pretty slow. You're supposed to have 3 or more, so that way it takes the normal damage. That's interesting. I think the 1 was needed, but the 2 wasn't. Because normally you get a gank on solo, and then you get a gank on solo or mid, and then whoever you just ganked goes and helps you take the Disciplined Underling. But now it's going to be slower because you're doing 25% less damage to it. Added a 50% healing reduction debuff upon hit by Prime Guardian. They're really cracking down on Chimera and Wukong. Wukong just built lifesteal so he could solo these things, now you're going to heal 50% less. Same thing with Chimera. Chimera's passive healing is not going to help you with this thing anymore. They are sick and tired of junglers soloing these things, and they're saying we're done with it. No more. And that's kind of funny how hard they're cracking down on it. Adjusted the health of Prime Guardian's initial spawn. It has 500 more health. And the Disciplined Underling has 1,000 more health. So that thing's going to be taking really slow to kill. If you only have 2 people, which I still think is a mistake. 2 people should be fine. Certain heroes have been able to take down Prime Guardian on their own. An effect has been added to make it more advantageous to attack the Prime Guardian as a team. I still think you'll see Wukongs and Chimeras. I don't think Chimera can do it anymore, simply because he gets 50% less healing. I think you'll see Wukongs trying to cheese it. I think Wukong can still get away with cheesing these objectives. Keep in mind, this is only for purple buff. The Underling and the Prime Guardian. You can still go solo yellow with Chimera. You can still go solo yellow with Wukong and Iggy. Only purple that they're cracking down on, which is interesting. Let's see. The Disciplined Underling's increased damage taken effect from Tions removed. So it doesn't take more damage from Tions. That's cool. And it adds a 50% damage boost effect upon taking damage from heroes. So teams have been using Tions to quickly take down the Disciplined Underling. Adjustments have been made so that heroes, not Tions, make more of an impact taking it down. That's pretty cool. So Disciplined Underling is going to be more effective. So you'll definitely want to not skip out on taking it. You want to coordinate it so you can get both of those things, and you'll be in a really good spot. Adjusted spawn time. So it initially spawns at 8 minutes and respawns every 8 minutes. Now it's going to spawn at 6 minutes and respawn every 7. That's crazy. That's crazy. Really early in the game. So I believe both objectives, both yellow and what am I saying? Both yellow and Underling are going to be up at the same time. So that'll cause a clash between the junglers. They adjusted the spawn time of the Prime Guardian. It used to spawn at 20 minutes, now it's going to spawn at 18. And it's going to spawn every 6 minutes instead of respawn every 8. So you're going to really want to jump on these Prime Guardians more. They want more focus around the Prime Guardian, which is the win condition for these games. So yeah, I think that's a good change. Speed up the pace of combat. Yep, that's exactly what it'll do. Shockwave for defeating the Prime Guardian. So before it dealt... so each Prime Guardian you killed, it would do more damage to the inhibitors in the core. First one dealt 30% of its max health, 60% of its max health, and then 90% of its max health. And now it's only going to do 30%, and it's going to do true damage. And it no longer applies to the core. So the Shockwave will take down the inhibitors, but you still have to go and do the dirty work with the core. It's also not going to just straight up kill the inhibitors. So I suspect they're going to buff the rest of the Prime Guardian here. So we gotten a lot of feedback about just how impactful the Shockwave from Prime Guardian can be. The Shockwave's damage has been adjusted and it no longer damages the core. Added deactivation effect for tower inhibitors upon defeating the Prime Guardian. So, deactivates enemy towers and inhibitors for a set duration after defeating Prime Guardian. And it increases your allies' damage dealt towers and inhibitors by 20. So that's how it wants you to do it. So now defeating Prime Guardian means you get the power attack speed buff. And then you have to go win a team fight and then go and wipe out the inhibitors yourself. I think that's a cool change. Because now you have to go in and actually do it yourself. You have the buff, now you have to make something happen. And it leaves room for some counterplay. Because even though you have the buff, you can still throw a fight and lose the game. So that'll be really cool. Adjusted the buffs. Game by Prime Spirits. Okay, so Prime Spirit now has 300 less health. Looks like they buffed the Fire Spirit. So it used to give you 4% per stack, and now it's giving you 5% per stack. Physical and magical power, that is. Water Spirit now also has less health, and they're buffing the health and mana recovery by interesting. So it 1%, and then another 2, 3, 4, 5% at every level. So in total you'll have, instead of 10% max health, or instead of 10% health and mana recovery, you'll have 15. The Wind Spirit, same thing, less health, and it looks like they're buffing it the same way that they buffed the Water Spirit. You'll get 1 more % at level 1, 2 more % at level 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. And you'll end up with a 20% attack speed buff, which I believe is the best spirit. Second, or maybe tied with the Fire Spirit. Oh wait, that's movement speed, that's my bad. 20% movement speed is still really good. And cooldown reduction. Attack speed was buffed the same way. So it's... Oh, no, I read that wrong. You're actually getting more attack speed early, but less later. So you're going to be capped at 20%, which is fine because it matches the movement speed, which is, the better part of it anyway. Same thing, Earth Spirit, less health. You get more physical and magical defense at each level. 1%, 2%, 3%, so on. Same thing as all the other stuff. The buffs gained from defeating Prime Spirits have not been very impactful. The values of all Prime Spirit buffs have been slightly increased to make them more important to the game. And that's cool. They're putting more focus on the jungle objectives, which should be the win condition of these games. You should team fight on these objectives and win the game on these objectives. And that's what they're pushing here. Okay. Where were we? I lost my place. Oh, here we are. Okay, so the Ruler of Spirits also has less health. And the spawn conditions of the Ruler of Spirits has changed. So after it would normally spawn after one team defeats 5 Prime Spirits. So, one team has all 5 buffs. And then if your team has none, you can go and kill the spirit and you'll get one of each buff. And so it was cool. I've only ever had this happen once. Now it'll spawn after one team defeats 3 Prime Spirits. So if you're 3 spirits down, this Prime Spirit, this big Prime Spirit, the Ruler Spirits will spawn, and you can get 4 buffs at once, which is cool. Ruler Spirits spawn conditions aren't met very often, leading to gridlocked late-game scenarios. Scylla's spawn conditions have been adjusted to make the pace of the game more dynamic. Yeah, I agree with that. spawn time of Prime Spirits. Okay, so the Prime Spirit will spawn 1 minute earlier, which means purple and yellow will spawn within 1 minute of each other. Teons will spawn 2 seconds earlier. I'm not sure how much that'll change. The movement speed for Teons has been changed. It's slower for duo lane, for solo and duo. And also slow. It's the slowest for mid lane. That's interesting. Teon nerfs? Adjusted super Teon. Okay, so the big ones after you kill the inhibitor. Before they had 240 power, and now they only have 200 power, and they have negative 10 magical defense. They're just making it weaker. Super Teon passive skill. Increases movement speed for all Teons within range, and decreases damage taken for all Teons within range. Interesting. So when you kill an inhibitor, these big Teons will spawn, and they're going to be buffing the other Teons around it. So hopefully they'll be pushing towers and, winning the game that way. The gold gained before for killing Teons, you would gain 20 for melee, 15 for range, and 50 for the siege. Now, the gold gained is different in each lane. You're going to gain 25 for melee. This is going to pick up the pace of the game because you're going to be getting more gold. That's 5 more gold per melee Teon, and 24 gold in mid lane. I don't know why they did that. Ranged is 21 in solo and duo, and 20 in mid lane. You'll get 65 for Siege Teon and 30 for a Super Teon. This will make actually last hitting these minions really important. You might actually want to think twice before just trying to rush down your lane opponent if it's going to make you miss minion kills. You definitely want to get this gold early. Okay, jungle monsters. Adjusted initial spawn time and respawn timers for all jungle monsters. Okay, so they're completely changing the jungle. This is going to be rough to keep up with. So they decreased the health of the regular monsters, so not the ones that give you the buff. They adjusted the XP, and they adjusted the spawn location of certain monsters. So the health value of jungle monsters has been reduced to make them faster to clear. The obtainable XP values for defeating them have also been adjusted. I don't know if this is more or less. Okay, so they're trying to... I think they're also trying to make jungle faster paced. They're just trying to pick this game up. They think that the games have been going on too long, so they're giving more gold and more experience to junglers and laners. And so this will be fun. Adjusted gold earned for killing an enemy hero. So now you get 50 less gold. You only gain 2 gold per second passively. And adjusted gold distribution for defeating Ruler of Spirits, Zilla. Okay. So before the gold given to the killing hero nearby allies, now it's given to all allies. That's pretty standard stuff. For defeating Disciplined Underling, so now it only gives gold to the one person who killed it. So it's going to give the gold to the jungler, pretty much. Which, that's rough, because sometimes you depend on that gold that your jungler is passively gaining for you just by killing objectives. So that'll be interesting. Adjusted gold for killing Disciplined Underling. Oh, you actually didn't get gold for Underling before. That's interesting. 80 gold. Interesting. You get 350 gold. You get 50 more gold for killing the Prime Guardian. And adjusted gold distribution for destroying inhibitors. So before, the destroying hero gets 550 gold, plus participating heroes split 550 gold. And now you are just splitting the 550 gold with people around you. So that'll be weird to have to share the gold. So they're lessening the tower. They're lessening the inhibitor gold, pretty much. They're reducing the experience you get for killing enemy heroes. So they are really trying to focus on you killing the minions in your lane and not the enemy heroes in your lane. It's going to make you a little less snowbally. But, yeah, that's an interesting change, and I honestly like it. Because now your duo lane who's throwing can't just get the enemy team super far ahead. Now they're going to have to actually farm a little bit before they can go and kill your whole team. Adjusted XP distribution for Ruler Spirits. So now it's given to all allies. For defeating the Disciplined Underling, instead of given to all allies, it's only given to the jungler who kills it. Because let's be honest, it's going to be the jungler who kills it. In order to make monster tower inhibitor kills more impactful relative to hero skills, we've adjusted rewards from monster tower inhibitor kills. Yeah, so they're changing the focus more on the minions and the farming, while still keeping the fast-paced motion of the game flowing. So it'll be cool to see all these changes in effect. I'm not sure how much. Okay, we'll go through the improvements. So recommended items have been changed. That's good. Some of them are out of date. Platinum rank competitive matches now includes gold 3 players. That's cool. I can find matches again. Upon summoning the disciplined underling, the animation effect will be present at the spawn location to improve visibility. Sure. In settings, players can now change the name that appears above the hero's health bar to warrior name, hero name, or no name. So, like, if you don't want to show your name, you can just change it to hero name, and it'll just call your name Greystone if you're playing Greystone, or it'll call your name Wraith if you're playing Wraith. Or you can just be, lame and show no name, I guess. Battle Pass improvements. I don't know what the Battle Pass looks like because my account hasn't been able to get on the Battle Pass, thus the free Kima. Range indication improvements. So health bar animations, debuff visibility, indicator UI for stacking effects on certain hero skills. So for Shinbi, her ult, and for Crunch, overheat. Improve certain skill range indicators. It's just quality of life changes for these heroes, pretty much. You're going to be able to see how far your abilities go. Improved directional hit indicators, animations related to basic attack, target indicators for ranged heroes added. So more quality of life changes for everybody. We'll get to see exactly what they look like when this update drops. Added an effect to the background of the base in Agnes of Light. Just a look change, I guess. Improved message display for the tutorial. Improved ultimate skills so that they no longer have to cool down when cancelled. Interesting. So if you get stunned out of your ult, you can just mash ult again. Added an indicator for when ultimate skills are ready, and improved the silence effect. That's good. I don't know if they mean, like, made it more visible when you're silenced, or if they mean it actually works correctly now, because, like, with Countess, you can teleport onto his gag grenade, onto Drongo's gag grenade, and still do your whole combo, and you don't get silenced. It's kind of crazy. But either way, like, sometimes you just don't know if you're silenced. Like, you're mashing an ability, and you have no idea why it's not working. Adjusted players' nicknames to be anonymized during the draft phase. Okay, so you can't just dodge players now, which I am a little upset about, because there's a certain couple of players that I usually just dodge if they're on my team, but this will help with the fact that everybody's just dodging all the time. It's a good change, but I'm not happy about it. Bounty system improvements. Hero kill bounties improved to not fall below a certain gold amount. So you can accumulate kill bounties over 1,000 gold. Set the maximum gold for killing a hero with a bounty to 1,000. Okay, so you can only gain 1,000 gold at a time for killing somebody. But if the person you kill had a bounty that exceeds 1,000 gold, you just subtract that 1,000 gold from their bounty. So like if you have, so the example here, if you have 2,300 gold, and you die, you're gonna give whoever killed you 1,000 gold, and you're still gonna have 1,300 gold bounty on you. So this will make you like high priority to kill over and over again if you're like 22-0, gold bounties earned from Tion kills added. Interesting. So if gold hero bounties earned from Tion kills added. I think you can get bounties if you have just an enormous lead on minion kills, I think is what that's saying. Kind of like in League. I think that's a thing in League of Legends. We'll have to see if that's what that means. I'm not 100% sure. New system to reduce bounties on the trailing team added. So if you're losing, you won't get a bounty because you don't deserve it if you're losing. Minimap icons. Faye recall animation was changed. Cool. Party chat added. New function that can be used to chat with party members while in a game. That's cool. I usually just whisper to my friends, but that'll also work. Competitive rank border added. Border will be applied according to your final rank from the previous season. That's cool. I can show everybody how bronze I am. And improvement to the training grounds, so they'll just change the training grounds a bit. And I'm not going to read through the bug fixes. We're done. So that's all of the changes. It was a lot. I wasn't expecting it to be that much. They're changing the fundamentals of the game. Laning, just focus more on laning. Don't try to kill your opponent as hard. If the opponent arises, if the opportunity arises, kill your opponent. But don't miss minion hits for it. Hit the minions. And sorry Wukong and Chimera, but you can't just go in solo purple anymore. It'll be funny to watch you try, because I know you're not going to read the patch notes, but yeah, that'll be it. I will have more videos out on actual gameplay soon, mainly on Greystone. I'm really excited for him. If you're not subscribed, it would really help me out if you did subscribe, so I can get partnered up with Paragon. I need 100 subscribers to start receiving early access to these patch notes, so you could help me out there, and I will see everybody next time.